I posed a question on Facebook this morning, and got some input from my followers anyway.
I saw.
And
That's good.
the question is, where do you take your mentorship from? Do you take it from the best to have ever done it? Or do you take it from those that are a little bit farther down the path than you are? And most people tried to come up with some hybrid answer of both. And some people were kind of vague and saying,
I didn't read them
always start, always learn. Take information everywhere you can. And
people that give cliche answers regardless of what the question is drive me insane.
yeah.
It's like, well, don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
Just like speak truth.
Yeah. But most of the people on there were saying that the best who have ever done it are so far down the road that they're where you take a guy that's done this for 30 years, 20 years, and he's at the top of his game. The industry is completely different today than it was 30 years ago. And so that guy's going to try to lead with advice that he did 30 years ago that doesn't really even
be
apply
applicable today.
Yeah. 30 years ago, everyone was on time and material. Now they're on flat rate. 30 years ago, yellow pages and white pages was king. And now everything's on the internet. 30 years ago, social media didn't exist, and now it does. It's always been a tough market to find good help. That's just... People have been saying that forever, and they'll always say that forever. And the ones who usually scream it the most are the ones that are usually the worst leaders. But the main focal point of that was to say, like, yeah, it's nice to go listen to your Tommy Mellos and your Victor Rancors and your mega coaching groups and your your big guys in the industries, but we talk about it in the first 9 episodes of this show, which if you're newly listening to this show, the first 9 episodes of the show we call them our core episodes, and they cover the 6 core adversities that you need to overcome in order to start your business. So check those out. Forgive us, because if you think we suck at podcasting now, just wait till you see those first 9. We really sucked.
I've been wanting to go back, but literally I don't want to be crushed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my ego to be crushed.
Look how far we've come, right?
Yeah. That's what I want to take from it. Like, look how great. But the whole time I'd be like, this is the most embarrassing moment of my life right now. Like, sitting in my office watching those first 9, I'm out. I just can't bring myself to do it, man.
But yeah, we talk about it in those first 9 about how some of those guys have some great stuff, but because they're leading teams of hundreds of people and they're doing 10s and 20s and 30s and 50s of millions in revenue every year, like, they're doing more revenue in a month than you'll do in a year. They're doing more revenue in a week than you'll do in half of a year sometimes. You take a company that's doing 65 million in revenue. What is, I just smacked
easy,
my mic.
Buddy.
What?
You okay?
65 million
times 12
divided by 12. That's 5.4 million each month.
Yeah, that's 1.3
and that's
a week.
That's $1.25 million a week in sales.
Well,
so you take a company that's doing 65 million in revenue, and their weekly revenue alone is what a lot of our listeners are like aspiring to one day hope to do in a year.
Yeah.
I'm going to start my one-man show. I'm going to be chucking a truck for a little while. I'm going to try to do everything right. I'm going to hang my shingle out there, put my name out there, stake my claim. Maybe 1 year. Maybe 1 year I'll do $1 million.
Yeah,
and these guys are doing 1.25 million each week.
I hate to ever focus all my attention or take information from people that are in the top 15 or the bottom 15%. You know what I mean? Because it's like grading on a curve, right?
Yeah.
That top 15%, those people that are doing, even those people that are doing 15 mil a year, a lot of them at the time are in the right market. They started their business at the exact right time when there was a real demand for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are outliers beyond their, and I'm not saying they're not great by any means, but there are things that are outside of your control that dictate ups and downs.
Yeah.
You know, a guy was a real go-getter and knew what he was doing, but got in a market that there's not a big population. There's a lot of other plumbers there, HVAC guys, and he fell to the wayside because there just wasn't a demand for his service, right?
High poverty level.
Yeah.
We got one of those guys in trade winds. It's in an area where there's a lot of poverty, and so he has a hard time.
Yeah, so I try not to ever go hard one way or the other.
Right.
I mean, because realistically, that's not for everyone. What we focus, I didn't know this was going to be a trade winds talk, but like what we focus on in trade winds is what can you realistically do? What is under your control? And then how do you do the best with that?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is all, those aren't outliers.
Right.
You know, those aren't at the top. Those aren't at the bottom. You're in the middle of the road. How do we make you the top 10% of the middle of the road, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I would say you probably, same idea that you have, my percentages would be a little bit different though. Like,
I just threw them out there.
I want to be learning from the top 15% guys. But I don't know if I want to be learning from the top 1% guys. So, as most of you know, we talk about, it's no secret, I used to be a part of Apex. And I'm not anymore. Left on great terms, no bad things or anything like that. I just felt like it wasn't for me anymore. But, I had a couple of opportunities to chat one-on-one with Ryan Stewman. And we were talking business and everything else, and you just realize very quickly that he is on such a different level than a 10-employee home service shop that it just doesn't compare. It doesn't compute. Now, some of the stuff that he's talking about is definitely stuff that you want to put on the horizon, things where you're going to get into, but it's not tactical information that you're going to be able to implement and deploy immediately when you get home from that trip. And I think you see that a lot in a lot of these top dog type conferences, right? Well, I've gone to a couple of the Profit Rocket conferences that's led by Victor Rancour, and it can be kind of hard to have talks like this without making it like we're not bagging on these big guys.
No.
You know, Victor Rancour is amazing. Ryan Stewman's amazing. They're all great at what they do. It's just,
can you take what they do and implement it the exact same way they do?
Right.
No, probably not. That's the talk.
Yeah, I've followed up enough with Victor after he sold his business in California. The guy that bought it wasn't able to repeat what Victor was doing, and that business is like half the size that it was when Victor sold it to him. And Victor was considering putting himself in a position to like buy it back and build it up again. And instead, I think he bought an HVAC company down in Texas and is building that one up. But there's a level of dog in somebody, a level of fight that results in that type of growth. And if I don't have it and you don't have it and Austin doesn't have it, then there's no point in any of us trying to learn from a guy that's using that as their main driver of success.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, and we, I don't know if we've ever touched on this or not, but a lot of it is the amount of risk that you're willing to deal with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like some guys will literally put every penny they have and that they have worked for 10 years out on the line and not give two shits if they have to start completely over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Other guys, they don't have that risk. What is it? Management, I guess. They don't want to put it all out on the line.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'm not saying that that's good, bad, indifferent. It's just sometimes to get to those levels, you literally have to risk it all.
Yeah.
I'm not one. Let's be honest. I'm not one of those guys.
Right.
I've worked really hard to get where I'm at. I'm not going to take, my nest egg and be like, okay, I'm going to go buy this company because I think I can make it work. And I'm just not going to do that, even if I think I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have that. I want to say ignorance, but that's not the right word. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't have that.
It's
function or
I mean,
it's a word that's out of my normal dictionary.
Well, I don't know how to Google it for you. I'm sorry.
You can call it a bunch of things.
Yeah, you can.
But ultimately, it's just the willingness to get it done, right? You're not willing to risk it, and so
and it's weird because I would literally. I'm literally willing to work as hard as I have to work to make something happen, but not at the risk of what I've already done. Like
right.
Buffett said it best. The return of my money is more important than return on my money.
Yeah.
I'm more of one of those guys.
Right.
Then I don't care. I'm looking at the top, regardless of the risk. I'm looking at the top no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that way.
I've heard it said quite a few different ways, but basically in the entrepreneur world, your level of success will be directly determined by the amount of financial pain you can withstand.